Good evening and welcome to Nashville. I'm Alan Jackson. The United States is on the mend, but it's no easy task after so many years of heading in the wrong direction. The deep state is being exposed, and so is the liberal legacy media as viewers move to more truthful channels. That said, there is a third wheel that's still going full steam ahead, undercover and with an agenda that clearly does not help make America great again. Who's behind it? An unelected, self-serving group of people who think that they have a better vision for the country, and the world for that matter. They want to reshape American society and abandon our freedoms. They're the people who use their money and their will, and they'll stop at nothing to try to change what has made this country great. And they're pushing back again with President Trump, no surprise here, as the #1 target. Well, Seamus Bruner has an inside view of it all. He's the Vice President and Executive Director of Research at the Government Accountability Institute, and he's joining us now. Welcome back, Seamus.
Hey, brother, great to see you.
Well, you've been investigating these types of people for years. You wrote a book about them that's called The Controligarchs, and it's a worthwhile read. George Soros is a leading example of someone who thinks he knows better. To get us started, let's listen to how Senator Lindsey Graham described some of the ways Soros works. In this case, courtesy of a Russian hack that the senator saw up close. Listen to what he said.
The Russians had hacked into the Soros Foundation, and they had conversations between Democrats and the Soros group to set up a plot to say that Trump was a Russian agent. So this was a conspiracy to blame Trump for being a Russian agent to distract from the Clinton email scandal to affect the outcome of the 2016 election.
Well, Seamus, I know you've seen your share of Soros tactics. Can you tell us a bit about what you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. So George Soros and increasingly his son, Alex Soros, who is the heir apparent to the Soros dark money empire, have funded every single thing that is bad for America that you could possibly think of, whether it's the open borders policies or the disastrous soft on crime district attorneys across the country who are letting the criminals out of jail. Every attempt to thwart election integrity, whether it's funding pro-ballot harvesting, pro-mail-in ballots initiatives. Soros is behind that as well. And then, yes, of course, in 2016 and 2020, he was funding all of the shenanigans, all of the dirty tricks, like the Steele dossier. After the Clinton campaign got done with it, Soros picked up where she left off and led that into the Mueller witch hunts and the impeachment probes. So he funds everything from buying off elections, making our elections less secure, making our communities less secure, bringing in 10 million migrants. And, we could spend a long time talking about all the other stuff, too.
It looks to me like Soros wants to influence more than politics. I say that because abortions are increasing, and you found that he's one of the people helping to provide cheap and easy access to the abortion pill. Do you have any idea if he thinks it would be better to have fewer children on Earth, or is he just a cold-hearted money issue for him?
Well, it's a bit of both. I mean, we know that he funds every sort of Planned Parenthood, pro-abortion type initiative. There's all kinds of dark money groups that, get the people all riled up and voting for abortion-like policies. But actually, on the abortion pill, this is called mifepristone. This is the pill that it's not the morning after pill. It's an actual abortifacient pill taken up to 15 weeks. It's a very traumatic type pill. This is the one that after the Supreme Court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade, all these left-wing groups were offering to mail it to states that had pro-life measures put into place. George Soros actually profited, and it's unclear for how long, but starting in the 90s, he was a big investor in this pharmaceutical product, this murder product, really, of poor innocent babies. And so he and others like the Rockefellers and these other big left-wing money machines, they actually held a stake in the patents and were profiting from this pill. So it's a bit of money, but it's also just a really dark, dark ideology.
Well, there's a report in Wired magazine that another group of hidden investors has been secretly funding high-profile social media influencers to help promote Democrats. They were paid as much as $8,000 a month to make their followers feel as though they were fully behind liberal and progressive ideas. The only condition, they had to keep it a secret. Well, it's not a secret anymore. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, this was a fascinating report. I mean, done by a journalist, reporter named Taylor Lorenz, who most people who know of Taylor Lorenz would say she's a lefty. And she was at the Washington Post before. She's kind of a controversial figure. The fact that she put together this piece is really stunning because it must mean that's how bad things are over on the left. This Wired magazine piece identifies a dark money group called the 1630 Fund, and that is underneath the umbrella of a larger group called the Arabella Advisors Network. There's a bunch of these Arabella Advisors funds. Well, the 1630 Fund is funded primarily by George Soros and a handful of others. He chipped in over $50 billion. And so that they're running this program, which we would not know about it. In fact, in this piece, this Wired magazine piece, they talk about how internal communications, PowerPoint slides, and emails to the Democrat influencers, how they said this is a great new program we're setting up for you influencers where you won't have to disclose anything. So it really goes to show these dark money groups, their whole goal here is to avoid transparency and try to hoodwink people with propaganda type talking points. The name of the program, the Chorus Creator Incubator Program, is an interesting name, of course, because what they're saying is we want to create a chorus of voices, like everybody's reading from the same song sheet, pushing talking points that really Americans have repudiated time and again.
Well, there's another big issue that you've exposed, and it's surely going to run up against Bobby Kennedy's plan for safer food. It's $1 billion plan to reshape the food chain, courtesy of Bill Gates. What's he up to?
Yeah, well, and it's, you know, your viewers have to look into this Arabella network, and I talk about it all in Controligarchs because the largest funders of the Arabella network, so this is this program we just mentioned, the largest funders are George Soros, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. They're all on the cover of the book, and a handful of other left-wing billionaires. And so Gates and the Arabella network have actually been working on a farm program to eliminate traditional agriculture and get rid of the stuff that works, all those people in flyover country that they don't care about, and they want to put in place a vertical indoor type farming. They want to get rid of cows. I mean, you hear them talk about it. There's too much methane production from cows, so they really want to push these fake meats. I don't know, some people might have seen just recently, Bill Gates was outed as an investor in this fake butter company that's going to harvest CO2 or carbon from the atmosphere and make so-called butter out of carbon and CO2, which just sounds disgusting. They've also got the patented seeds, the ones that make it so that you can't grow your own food as easily. Also the pesticides are patented so that, you know, any ground that has been sprayed with the herbicides or pesticides can't grow anything other than the patented, resistant seeds. And then, the fake meats are just, awful. People are rejecting them, but that doesn't mean that they're not trying to continue to foist these impossible and beyond meat burgers, both of which Bill Gates is heavily invested in on the rest of us. And, you may say, well, I'm never going to eat the fake meats. Well, when you see the ribeyes are costing $36, $40, you might start to cut back. Meat becomes a delicacy, and some people out there are just going to go with the alternative. So it's really sinister stuff. They're trying to play God, all to make a buck, or $1 billion in the case of Bill Gates. And the takeover is fully underway. Just ask any farmer you might know if their business has gotten more or less profitable. And because of these climate change policies that Bill Gates and Soros and the others are pushing, it's getting harder and harder to be a farmer.
If you weren't reporting it, it'd be hard to believe it. Seamus, we've got a lot more to talk about. Could you stay with us for another segment?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Well, during the break, those of you watching are welcome to call up ajnow.com on your phone or your laptop. Look it over. There's a lot of available choices and options there, including sending me an email about this conversation with Seamus. I'll be back in a moment. I'd like to extend a personal invitation to join us for our Culture and Christianity Conference. It's September the 19th and 20th on our campus here at World Outreach Church, just outside of Nashville. We've chosen 3 specific topics to explore with a wonderful group of guests. We're going to talk about the church and our expected impact in this culture, the media and their impact in our culture, and then finally, our health, how we can be healthy in the midst of all these competing voices we're hearing. The real goal is how we take our faith and integrate it in our world so we have better lives, stronger families, and strengthen our nation. Join us for Culture and Christianity here in Murfreesboro. We're back now with Seamus Bruner. He's the Executive Director of Research at the Government Accountability Institute. Despite all the help they get from Soros and his friends, the Democratic Party seems lost. We hear no proposals to make things better, but a lot of noise about anything Trump tries to do. Their latest move is to try to appeal to young male voters, using more profanity, claiming it'll make young guys think they sound more real. Fixing their own cars, there's Tim Walz actually getting his hands dirty, lifting weights for the camera, and in the case of Gavin Newsom, telling Democrats they look weak. Well, the always clever Senator Kennedy had his own description of Newsom. Listen closely to his comment.
He's put the funk into dysfunction. Every year that he's been governor, crime and violence has gotten worse in California. Why? Because Governor Newsom is a member of the socialist wing of his party.
He put the funk into dysfunction? Seamus, do you see anything in the Democrats' agenda that would help them turn things around?
No, I mean, this all rings so hollow, and it's, I mean, the number one problem that they're facing is an authenticity crisis. Nobody believes what they're saying anymore. And the thing about authenticity is you can't fake it. And every time you try, it makes you look less and less authentic. So Gavin Newsom recently on his podcast said, put on this big tough guy thing. You need to punch, our opponents in the mouth. It just rang hollow. I think he thinks that the left wants a big tough guy fighter like they think Donald Trump is, who they vilified for years and years and years and still continue to for being a supposed big tough guy. Now they're trying it themselves, and it looks so fake. And so it just exacerbates the issue for them. Tim Walz with the car, I mean, he's never going to be able to shake the fact that he was trying to put tampons in the men's restrooms and the boys' restrooms in schools. And so working on a car, I mean, it might have worked for Joe Biden 30 years ago with his Corvette and make him kind of look like he's tough, but it doesn't work today. You can't just pretend to be working on your car on camera and overcome what everybody knows you are, which is Tampon Tim.
One of the things that I most admire about GAI is that you deeply source everything you do. Your book on the Controligarchs includes more than 1,000 endnotes versus much of the regular news media where you wonder if they have any source at all. And if they do, it's not necessarily fact-based, but rather someone who shares their slant of the story. Does the growth of GAI reflect those readers and viewers who understand the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. We are very blessed at GAI to have the time to read thousands and thousands of sources and documents and corporate records and FOIAs and just consume a huge amount of information, whereas most journalists, they just don't have that kind of time. It's more than time. You got to have the foresight to see what's coming around the corners years out. But we consume all of these documents and we put together kind of a mosaic. It's an intelligence gathering technique called the mosaic, where you piece all this information together and then we have the time to fact check it. I mean, it takes 3 months plus in some cases to fact check a book and make sure we get everything completely airtight. And so the sources we put in the book, the 1,000, I mean, that's really just a small fraction of the total number of sources you have to consume to understand what's going on. And so, yeah, the rest of, the so-called journalists out there, they're really on a deadline where they've got about a week to come up with a story. I mean, in some senses, it's impressive that they come up with anything. But yeah, we're blessed, and the growth we've seen has really shown that people can tell when you go through all of the documents and you show all the receipts.
Well, before we go, can you give us a heads up about anything that's coming from GAI next?
Yeah, so I mean, speaking of receipts, back in October of last year, we posted every single one of Adam Schiff's mortgage declarations. We had been given a tip by a mortgage fraud investigator, Christine Bish, and she supplied all these documents. We did some digging of our own. We posted all of those mortgage documents online. And I'm convinced we know pretty well that those documents are exactly what led to Adam Schiff now being, a grand jury is considering putting charges of mortgage fraud on Senator Schiff. That's, could be up to a 30-year in prison sentence. Mortgage fraud is no joke. So we're going to continue on the mortgage fraud. We've got Lisa Cook and a bunch of other officials, Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, who hilariously and ironically accused Trump of what she herself was guilty of. So we're going to continue on those investigations. We've got some investigations into the deep state bureaucrats who need their security clearances revoked. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard just revoked 37 more clearances. There's a whole lot more. We've got a list of over 100 officials who need their, or former or current officials who need their clearances revoked. And then we've got a couple more exciting investigations that I'm looking forward to sharing with you coming out very soon.
Well, Seamus Bruner, many thanks for your time today and for helping us understand the investigative work you've done for our benefit.
Thank you, brother.
In a moment, I'll share some thoughts where you can go for hope. It's often just arm's length away. We'll be right back. Hey, I want to give you a personal invitation to join my podcast, Culture and Christianity.
For a person to think that the Bible is not political, you don't know the Bible.
We're trying to understand how to take our faith outside the walls of the church and live it out in the marketplace.
He will show you what to do, whether it's in our communities, in our country, or other places in the world.
So I brought in some friends, some people that are trying to do this.
How could anyone call themselves Christian and be pro-choice? Is beyond my comprehension.
But I think he wanted them open and in need of him every day.
We have been living through a season of unprecedented deception, propaganda, manipulation.
Everybody says, Israel is attacking schools in the Gaza Strip.
I want to be a part of seeing culture and Christianity intersect. Hope you enjoy the podcast. You know, there's something unfolding across our country. It's pervasive and it's biblical. In Jesus' most lengthy prophetic discourse, one of the signs that Jesus gave was that human character would begin to deteriorate and that lawlessness would increase. We see spiritual forces of darkness expressed with increasing boldness and frequency in some very tangible ways. Things like the violence carried out on the streets of major cities against law enforcement and by those who support criminal actors who are here illegally. They burn the American flag, they attack law enforcement, they curse America. We've seen the deterioration of trust in places that I thought were cornerstones of trust. During the lead up to the 2016 election, the FBI claimed that the Trump campaign had ties to Russia collusion. Well, this Russian collusion hoax was then echoed in the evening news every day, even though it ended up being proved a totally false narrative. I'd suggest to you that deception, lies, and a refusal to acknowledge the truth is spiritual conflict more than a political one. And we better wake up to that reality. In this season, I believe the circumstances that allow evil to flourish will also create the opportunity for the kingdom of God to grow. Deception, wickedness, and immorality will increase alongside righteousness. The Spirit of God is moving in dramatic ways, and we have to decide where we're going to focus our attention, where we're going to invest ourselves. No need to be afraid or frightened. Let's recognize God is moving and say we want to move with Him. If we'll do that, There's more reasons for hope than despair, always. We'll be right back with your emails. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with us. If you ever miss a live episode, you can always go to ajnow.com. There's a full archive there. You can watch any of the programs at your leisure. It makes them easy to share with a friend. And a special thanks for taking the time to send us your email. Somebody stopped me at church recently and said, "You read my email on the air." Yes, we do, I promise. Send us your thoughts. We're anxious to hear what you think of the program. Bill K. emailed, "Thank you all for always bringing forth light and truth, and a special thank you, George Jackson, for the book, The Eternal Breath of Life. What a great explanation and a hands-on application. Kindness is the language of the deaf can hear and the blind can see." Well, Bill, I agree. A bit more kindness in our world would make it a better place for all of us. Clara emailed, "I told my friend, you really need to watch Pastor Alan Jackson's preaching in the morning and watch Alan Jackson now at night." Well, bless her heart. She asked, "Alan Jackson is a pastor?" She was thinking of the country singer. We both had a good laugh, but she now watches both of your shows. Thank you for God's words and the world's truth. Well, Clara, I think you've got an idea. Maybe we can get that other Alan Jackson on the program. We'll let him sing. You don't want me doing that. And then Ron P. from Oceanside, California, said, "I've been telling everyone about your sermons and this venue. Thank you for standing for truth and keeping up to date on issues. We all need to hear this. Your guests have been amazing, and I totally enjoy your broadcast. Keep up the good work and bringing forth the truth." Well, Ron, thank you for your kind words. But you know, the real change comes when all of us use our voices at our kitchen table, our holiday table, and our friend circle to tell the truth that we know. We don't all have all the answers to all the questions, but we can all be advocates for the truth that we've experienced. If we'll do that, we will open the doors for God's engagement in our world in a whole new way, and that really is a reason for hope. I'm Alan Jackson. I appreciate you spending some time with us today, and I pray you have a wonderful evening.